Hey there friends, thanks for checking in. As you know, the Army recently adopted the Sig P320 as their handgun of choice. I think it's a great idea. I hold this gun in high regard and I think it will serve the people of the Army very well. However, Graham Bates of GB Guns does not think it's a good idea. He has his reasons for thinking that, so we're going to have a debate today, and at the end we want you to let us know who made the stronger points for their side of the argument. Graham is going to start this off, so let's go.
Welcome back to GB Guns. As I'm sure you've heard, the Sig P320 was recently adopted by the US Army to replace the very aging Beretta 92. This obviously is not a Beretta, this is a Zenith, but it's the closest I have on hand. I woke up to the email press release at 11 o'clock or so during SHOT Show of this becoming the new gun, and immediately went on the offensive against it. I don't think it's the best idea, and I'll go over a few reasons why. Or to start, for all of you who say, what the heck do you know, and the Army always gets the best equipment. I spent 15 years on active duty in the United States Army, some of that time as an armorer, some of that time as a firearms instructor, and a lot of that time on the tactical edge of the Army. The Army does not always choose the best equipment. The Army chooses the best equipment at the lowest price in the biggest quantity available. So that doesn't mean this is an awesome gun. Is it a bad gun? No, but I have some problems with it. You see that? This is a brand new Sig P320 that we have maybe 200 rounds through, and it's got that much play already. So that whole modularity, being able to replace and change things, yeah, it's great because you're going to need to. They have this cutout for being able to strip mags, right? Which is great because you're going to need to. Look at this. That's all the ejection you get with a new clean gun, clean magazine, clean mag well. So when you get this in the desert and that starts to get gritty and you got to change mags, you're going to have to strip away. Other major reason why I don't like it is the trigger is short, crisp. It's a great trigger. However, most officers are terrible marksmen, don't understand, have poor training, struggled to qualify and be safe with the Beretta design, which has the nice long heavy double action in the external safety. Now I have heard some people say that the Army's version will have an external safety. The official press release that I read from SIG did not mention that, so we'll wait to see. Overall, just not the right gun at all. I think there was some political involvement and somebody greased the wheels, and someone in New Hampshire is very happy they're going to be making a lot of money selling this overpriced gun to the Army. Now my buddy Dan, the firearm guy, has some other opinions. We'll see what he has to say about it.
I want to start my part by saying how much I appreciate your service within the military and for our country. That means a lot. I am sure that you have a lot of experience and wisdom within the years of your military service that has served our country well. And for that, I say thank you. In regards to your part of the debate, that very wisdom is lacking. The P320 is an outstanding choice for both civilian and military use. I've owned this gun for a while now, and I love it. I love everything about it. It holds 15 rounds in the magazine. It is reliable. It is accurate. I'm yet to have a failure with it, and the overall function of it is outstanding, and many people who own the gun cannot speak highly enough about it. But there are some points that you made that I want to address. First off, you said that there was a little bit of room there between the slide and the frame that creates this movement. Well, if that were a big deal, do you think that an HK P30 would have that? You know, HK is known to be some of the best guns on the market, and check this out. Same type of thing. Doesn't affect the accuracy at all. Matter of fact, if it affected the accuracy, you wouldn't be punching hole in after hole in a group this big from 10 yards that I saw on your video. You're a good shooter, I'm sure, and you shoot the P320 very well. The second point that you mentioned is that when you hold the gun upside down, the magazine deployment is that much. I don't really consider that a problem because when you do mag reloads, typically you hold the gun like that, and the P320 deploys very well. Matter of fact, this deploys as well as any gun that I own. I think that the officers on the battlefield will be able to make mag reloads just fine with the P320. You mentioned that if, you know, dirt, sand, grit gets in there, that they'll have to physically remove the magazine. Well, the 320 has that little lip there that allows mags to be manually removed. And I think under those conditions, I don't care what gun you have, you run into problems like that, you may have to manually remove the magazine. So that point doesn't really mean too much to me. The third point you said is that officers are not well trained, they may not shoot the gun well. Well, that applies to any gun. Actually, I think they'll do a better job with the P320. It has been very accurate. I'm really hoping that, you know, if they get a clear shot at an ISIS person, that they'll be able to take them out. I think they'll have a better chance with the P320, the consistent trigger pull. I think they'll have a great time with it. I think they'll be more accurate with it, and I think with a little bit of training, they will shoot this gun far better than the M9 that has been used in the military for so many years.
You know, Firearm Guy, you do make some good points there. The Army really doesn't use handguns that much, and even though I spent 15 years in and went to both Iraq and Afghanistan, saw combat in each theater, I personally don't have a lot of handgun experience from that. Where I do have handgun experience from is training with LAPD Metro SWAT and 8 times the front sight, not to mention 1,900 hours logged working as an NRA instructor. One thing I noticed in all those hours, as well as the 90 plus handguns that we reviewed last year, is, as you know, it's not the gun that makes for good groups, it's the shooter. You did pretty darn well with that TriStar recently, proving that it's not a fancy gun that makes for good groups. I'm not so worried about accuracy. What I was concerned about with that slide flop, that's going to be the gun beating itself to pieces. That is built-in, integrated from the factory, gonna wear out. They've done that to help sell more frames, sell more slides, conversion kits, and this whole modularity thing that everyone gets so excited about. It's one thing I learned about the Army, is it's not a modular Army. We got a 7-piece cold weather system, you can only use 2 pieces of it at a time. All kinds of silliness in garrison, and that's what the Army's going back to. It's got a reversible magazine release, but they couldn't do ambi. Where's the innovation? You take another combat gun, like this Grand Power K100, it's got all controls on both sides, works just fine, single and double action, too easy. If they were going to go with a foreign gun, why not the Grand Power? Sure, these SIGs will be made here in the US, but if they wanted a US made firearm, why not keep all the dollars here in the US with something like the Ruger American? This also has a chassis system inside of it. Now when it comes to chassis and swapping, even brand new upstart Honor Defense with their Honor Guard got it right with fully ambidextrous controls and a magazine that wants to leave when it's done. The reason why I do upside down is just to show if gravity is too much resistance, then any bit of sand or grit is going to be a problem. I also noticed when you ejected your mag out of your P320 that it ejected better than mine does. So where's the consistency? Come on, SIG. Is this the kind of quality we're going to give our troops? I left the Army to fight for America instead of the war by America. And I gotta say, the Beretta 92 was worn out, time for it to go. The P320 is a great gun, but is it a gun I'd want to take to war? I think I'd choose something else first.
Hey Graham, great response. When it comes to experience, if this debate had to do with experience in the Army, you would win. Hands down, you have more experience in the Army than I do. However, the topic of this debate is the P320 a good choice for the military? Now, after hearing your response, it's clear I have more experience. You mentioned that it is not an ambidextrous gun, but I look at the slide stop, it's on the left side of the gun. I come over here to the right side, and what do we have there? A slide stop. I can manipulate the slide through using either side of the gun, making that ambidextrous. Also, the magazine release can be switched over to the other side, making it left-handed friendly. It may not be a modular Army, but the P320, the topic of this debate, is a modular gun. I imagine people would want a full-size frame. Some may want the subcompact frame. I believe most would want the regular compact size frame. However, it makes it a very modular gun, and a lot of choices of what you could do with it. Also, you said that, the Army, they get the cheapest. This is not a cheap gun. Sig Sauer is not a cheap brand. It's not a cheap gun, and it is amazingly consistent, which you also said Sig Sauer lacks, is its consistency. I find that mind-blowing. I have the P220. This gun has been amazingly accurate, reliable, and consistent for me, as has been the 226. Now, the P226 has many different variations. However, the one thing that is in common with all of them is the consistency, and I find the exact same attribute within the P320. I think that the P320 is a great choice. I only paid $500 for it. So what does that tell you? It tells me that the Army wants to do the same thing that you and I do. They want to get the best gun for the money. And they found that in the P320, and I support that decision. I support it because the gun itself shoots outstanding. It's incredibly reliable, and it has everything that I think a soldier would want in a gun. Reliability, accuracy, trust your life with it, good magazine capacity, and an outstanding trigger makes the P320 the gun for the Army and the safety of our soldiers.
Hey, just want to say thanks for watching on behalf of us at GB Guns and the Firearm Guy, the other channel. That was a lot of fun. Obviously, we respect each other quite a bit. Both like the P320. Just wanted to argue some of the sides for and against the Army's recent adoption of it. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Please comment below. If you're watching this on GB Guns, head on over to the Firearm Guy. And if you're on the Firearm Guy's channel, come on, take a look at the P320 and other guns we reviewed here on GB Guns.